Welcome to the video today. We're going to be watching some reaction content. As you know, as always, I stream this. And if you don't know, I stream almost every day. So feel free to come over to Twitch if you're watching on YouTube because you missed the Twitch stream, but that's okay. Most of these come from my reaction suggestions in my Discord. If you're not a part of the Discord server yet, you should be because I watch a lot of things that you post on there, and that would be very cool. And if you are also watching on YouTube, make sure to watch... If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the channel you're watching on because I like to be told I'm doing good. Very cool. Intro. All right, man, we're going to watch a video today by Dreading called Narcissist Husband and Au Pair Attempt to Frame Wife for Her Own Murder. Makes sense. If you don't know what an au pair is, it's like a nanny, but they live there, if I'm not mistaken. So the classic story of the husband falling in love with the babysitter, some weird shit. So it sounds great. Sounds like a real treat. The best treat of this is actually that it's a Dreading video, and I love Dreading. He does a really good job. So it's a longer one, but I can't skip a Dreading video if I don't have to.
True crime related media, chances are high that you've considered what it would take to plot out the perfect murder. You've watched the videos breaking down the behavior of Chris Watts, Jodi Arias, and Chandler Halderson and thought, of course that person was caught. They're an idiot. Then you go on to theorize about how if they made a couple of different decisions,
good old Chris Watts texting his
scot-free. You believe
mistress.
that if you were ever in the same position, your knowledge of true crime would lead you to getting away with murder. People treat crime as a sort of
no, not really,
and discuss the plays that they would have made if they had been the ones on the field. Wearing gloves, not talking to the media, faking a breakdown, framing someone else, and more are open.
This is actually like really interesting dialogue because he ain't
Sorry,
wrong.
I don't want to interrupt the middle of the video, so I gotta send this now. Yay, 47 months. Ain't that cool?
Interrupts anyway.
Commented on, as if they were talking about how they would have simply struck Otani out if they were pitching against him. These hypothetical
baseball reference
leave out the most important pieces of evidence in any case, the behavior of the victim. It leaves out their personality, their daily routines, their habits and histories that make them who they are. It reduces them down to their last breath and someone else's actions after they're gone. And therein lies the problem. Because the victim is a person and someone who existed for however long and impacted the world in their own unique way, discussing how they moved about their life is just as, if not more important, than how they died. Shanann Watts was a woman who was so communicative with her friends and family that when she stopped responding to her friends' texts hours after she'd been murdered, they knew something was deeply wrong. Her best friend understood her to such a degree that she drove to the home, refusing to leave when Shanann's murderer told her to, and then called the police to begin searching. She was a person who was so loyal, devoted, and reliable that people knew from the get-go that her husband played a part in her disappearance because she would have never left without telling them first. Meanwhile, Chris hadn't even considered who his wife was before attempting to frame her, which directly led to his arrest. This is also true of the recently completed case against Corey Richins. Her husband Eric was not the kind to keep his thoughts in.
Corey Richins just got convicted to life in prison without parole, by the way, for anybody keeping up with that case. That's the woman that tried to write a book about the husband she killed with fentanyl, who was also the terrible realtor who was like millions in debt based off of her opening up a entire loan originally off of his name without his permission. And then she tried to make 2 books about being without him, or the plot of that basically. Yeah. So Corey Richins just got life in prison. So
feelings to himself.
The children books,
so much so that he told other people about the problems he was having with.
We watched a video on her a while ago.
He informed friends and family that he would be changing his will, and that he believed that his wife had tried to kill him by poisoning a breakfast sandwich she'd given him on Valentine's Day. So when he died a month later of a drug overdose, they informed investigators that same night that they felt that she was involved. Corey, like Chris, was so deeply checked out of her marriage that she no longer understood her spouse. She believed that she could make Eric disappear like a covert drug addict who caused his own death. even though he had only ever used weed gummies to sleep. And unfortunately, that same thing is true in today's case. Welcome back to another episode of Dreading, or if this is your first time here, welcome. Today we're going to be reviewing the case of Brandon Banfield, and how in his desire to get out of his marriage, he would concoct what he believed was the perfect murder, only to be done in by something he never even considered: his wife's behavior.
Everything
Brandon had
else?
checked out of the relationship to the point where he no longer even understood the person he slept next to, and forgot the nuances of her character that would make his plan ultimately unravel. This case is something that we've been keeping our eye on since it occurred, as one of our patrons
Great
sent
way
it
to
in
put it.
before Brandon's arrest. And since it concluded, we thought now is a good time to go over the
Interesting.
case details, break down his interrogation with police that occurred the day after the murder, as well as discuss how Brandon's self-involvement led to his own arrest, and then finally review his time on the stand. It's going to be a lot. As always, if there's a case you would like to see on the channel or a story you want to bring more attention to, you can let me know by emailing my brother and I at dreading.official@gmail.com.
It's 37, bro.
My brother's still not doing the best health-wise, but we are trying and he is doing a lot better. But with all of that said, let us begin.
What?
Unfortunately, at the time of recording, there's not a lot known about the character of the two victims in the case.
Dreading, do you guys need help? I mean, I don't even know if they know I exist, but I'm super happy to help them out. Like I hear one of my dogs went.
Sneegsnag!
Don't yell at me.
I'm so sorry if this bugs you. I'm genuinely trying to get rid of bits I bought years ago.
While there was a bit of information given at the trial, the majority of the information that has come out about Christine Banfield has been from the defense, in a very clear effort to slander her. But while we don't know a lot about Christine, the way she was spoken about by her friends, family, and colleagues in court tells us a great deal. Those who worked alongside her as a pediatric intensive care nurse spoke of a woman with tremendous
Bro.
character. She was reliable.
Good Lord, bro. What a job. Not just the ICU, the children's ICU. Oh my God.
Reliable and focused, and brought order to a stressful environment. Working in pediatric intensive care
Yeah, I'll
was
say.
deeply harrowing, but she had a tremendous love for children and a want to help that overruled any downside that could possibly come with the job. Christine had also worked as a math tutor for young children and an instructor for certain medical devices. So she had a lot on her plate, but never so much that she was unfair or unkind to those around her. A former patient of hers would come forward and state that he viewed her as an angel, and that sentiment was mirrored by the majority of people who knew her. But there was at least one person who didn't see her that way.
What's that? The PICU? The pediatric intensive care unit? That's where like the emergency cases come in. Like when somebody comes into the emergency room and it's like so bad that they need like immediate help, they go to the ICU. Like they're gonna die. Like it's that bad. Like either from like sickness, injury, accident, etc. So the pediatric intensive care unit is like for literal children, literal children. So she was doing one of the worst things to happen. She was helping people with one of the worst things to happen to them, one of the worst days they could probably have, but with kids who have no idea what's going to be going on either. Which I mean, that would be such a tough job, dude.
And that unfortunately was her husband, Brandon. Brandon and Christine had met their freshman year of college, and from all accounts, they seemed to be the perfect couple. Brandon would state that early on in their relationship, they were nearly inseparable, and that they completed each other. They were social, fun, and operated under the belief that anything worth doing was better if done together. After they graduated college and got married, they would operate businesses together, join intramural adult sports teams, and genuinely seem to enjoy each other's company. However, Brandon would then clarify that even when their relationship seemed to be a well-oiled machine, he would still find time to step out on Christine. Brandon worked as a federal agent. More specifically, he worked as a criminal investigator for the IRS.
What is he doing?
His job included investigating identity theft, political and public corruption, international tax fraud, domestic and international terrorism, as well as Bank Secrecy Act violations, among other potential criminal violations of the Internal Revenue Code. Brandon spent his time unraveling other people's schemes and putting himself in the position of a criminal. It wasn't enough to just accept the information as it was presented in his line of work. He had to go above and
Checking
beyond.
for
He had to
entries?
follow
Yeah, but
every
what
lead and
the hell
turn
would have
over every
happened?
rock to ensure that he had come to the correct conclusion. His work often led him to working alongside local law enforcement, as well as police departments and the FBI. And he would boast that he
I was
knew
about to
more
say,
than the
bro
average
was a
person about how to
fed.
get away with criminal pursuits. Despite his high ranking and impressive position, Brandon still wasn't satisfied with his dull life. He would state that he regularly felt neglected by his wife. Although he would admit that she
probably.
spent the majority of her free time in his company,
I'm sure we'll
she had
find out.
chosen a job that meant she spent a significant time away from the home on her feet, taking care of others.
Brother.
Her work was intense, so when she came home, she wasn't as fun-loving and energetic as he wanted her to be. He would go so far as to say she often gave the best parts of herself to other people, and so he had to settle for
To dying children? God forbid my wife come home a little dull after saving children's lives. Ugh. Sure. What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
what was left over. Over the years they had spent together, her focus shifted from him to their daughter, her work, and her other commitments. Their relationship was still a priority in her life, but other things came before him. She viewed him as a partner, someone she could rely on without question or constant supervision. In that respect, made him feel like she didn't care as much as she had. Christine's job meant that she was out of the house for long stretches of time, and so Brandon would seek out other women. He would attempt to downplay his infidelity, stating that his debauchery with other women meant nothing to him, and ultimately
Right.
didn't hurt his marriage. He did love
Right.
Christine, and that would never change, even if he spent their entire relationship breaking her trust and putting her sexual health in jeopardy. He tried to evidence this
In
by
jeopardy?
stating just how
Oh,
many
'cause-
different affairs he had over the years, but these were not
I don't know
just
why I
simple
questioned that for a
one-night
second.
stands with different women every time. Not like that would be any better. These were month-long relationships with women who Brandon took on dates, spent money on, and told he loved.
Bro.
Brandon would also allege that Christine had cheated on him in the past as well, but we found no evidence outside of his testimony. That's not to say that it didn't happen, but only that we do not trust his statement alone. He would go on to say that Christine was aware that he had cheated on her twice, then boasted of having other relationships that she had known nothing about.
My dog
In
is
response to
snoring
his
very
cheating,
loudly
they
under
had
me.
gone to some couples counseling to regain some trust. Christine took the counseling seriously, wanting to save their marriage so their daughter Valerie would
Well,
not
clear-
be negatively affected. Brandon would mirror that sentiment.
Why does this guy have to
her
have such
and
a
the
close name
therapist,
to me, bro?
but
I
would
hate-
continue to cheat anyways. And then he met Juliana. As established, Christine Banfield worked odd hours, and when their daughter Valerie was born, the couple determined that they would need some help with childcare. At first, they relied on their parents to assist with babysitting, but after moving to Virginia for Brandon's job, they discussed bringing someone in for full-time capacity. So the Banfields looked into multiple websites in order to find someone who would fit their needs, and eventually they stumbled upon Juliana Perez McGallaghes, or I don't know. I'm butchering that. You get the point. But before we go further, we do need to discuss the differences between au pair and any other childcare provider. An au
Mhm.
pair is like a nanny, although there are some key differences between them. A nanny can be anyone of any age, so long as they are being paid to take care of the child. They
Yep.
can live with the family, though most don't, and work as a third-party guardian to the child. However, an au pair is specifically a young adult, usually between the ages of 18 and 28, from a foreign country. They come and live with the host family, providing live-in childcare as part of a cultural exchange program. It's supposed to work as a mutual exchange between both parties, as the au pair get room and board as well as a job and the opportunity to take in a new culture and improve their language skills. Meanwhile, the family gets help with the childcare in their household. And while there's nothing inherently wrong with using an au pair, it's important to note that there is a marked difference between the two positions.
Yes.
For example, if you hired a nanny, that person would likely not be as dependent on their employer as an au pair. An au pair
Yes.
is new to the country, likely has no friends or family in the area, and their remaining in the country depends entirely on the host. We mention that here not to divorce Juliana from her later actions or excuse them, but to showcase how Brandon entered the relationship. His interest in her relied heavily on how reliant she was on him,
Power
and how that
dynamic,
made him
yeah.
feel about himself. One of his only real issues with his wife is that she was independent and reliable. She didn't need him. Meanwhile, Juliana did. For Christine, Juliana seemed to be a fantastic caretaker who also helped around the house. Serendipitously, Juliana had expressed an interest in working as a nurse and was excited to learn from her host mother. Meanwhile, for Brandon, Juliana was a young, attractive woman whose job it was to be in his home looking after his child, who he could also project all of his frustrations and resentments about his wife onto. According to both Juliana and Brandon,
Bro's
early
just a
on in their
full-on
working
pervert.
relationship, he would often praise her for her care of his daughter. He would tell the 21-year-old that she was such a good surrogate parent for Valerie, that it was clear that she was meant to be a mother, and that she had a natural instinct for motherhood that seemed so foreign to Christine.
Bruh.
Every compliment he paid Juliana was peppered with insults towards his wife, and it became clear to the au pair that Brandon was no longer happy in his marriage. He was testing the boundaries with her, putting out feelers to see if she was interested in him, and eventually they started sleeping together. Their relationship quickly became serious, with Brandon declaring his love for the young woman and bemoaning the fact that he was stuck in a marriage with Christine. But he outright rejected the idea of divorce. He told Juliana that Christine wasn't just a bad wife, but she was also a terrible mother.
Last
She
time
treated
I
their daughter
promise.
poorly, so much so that he worried what would happen if she was afforded any custody of Valerie. In our research into this case, we
I don't like the idea of the divorce, but I will break every single other boundary and trust with you, period. Including kill you. I can't, divorce is out of the question though. But let's plot your murder though.
found no supporting evidence that Christine was an unfit mother.
Fucking
It's more
what?
likely that Brandon understood that leaving his wife for the young au pair would make him look gross in most people's eyes. His friends and family would view him as a creep, believe that he was going through a
'Cause it
midlife
is.
crisis of some sort, and would probably not accept the relationship as being serious. They'd probably urge him to fix his marriage,
Captain
or choose
fucking
to stay friends
pervert
with
over
Christine
here.
over him, as she was clearly victimized by his actions. But Brandon knew better to say as much to his young girlfriend. He told the 21-year-old that if things were different, if Christine was no longer in the picture, that they could probably get married and be a real family. They commiserated over not being able to be together, and as time went on, Brandon would openly wish for his wife to drop dead. It was obvious based on how Brandon cheated and disrespected Christine that he wanted out of the marriage, but leaving her would mean divorce court, split custody, child support payments, and years of fallout. His friends and family would view him as a bad guy for hurting her so terribly. And when
God
his affair with the
forbid.
21-year-old would eventually be revealed, he'd look creepy. But if Christine were to die in some tragic
Can't imagine.
happenstance, he could rewrite their criticisms.
That'd be so
He'd feign that
terrible.
in the midst of his grief, he'd fallen in love with Juliana due to her proximity and her relationship with his daughter, and most people would keep any negative comments to themselves. If they did believe the relationship wasn't serious or was improper, they would feel poorly vocalizing that, given the circumstances. He'd be the struggling widow, who everyone would be willing to give a break to. Christine would be the angel who had never done anything wrong. His affair with Juliana would remain concealed, and he'd get to move on consequence-free. In his mind, it was a win-win scenario, and so he began plotting. As mentioned, Brandon
Urethra. What do they think like? Did he think that like people were just gonna forget she was the au pair or something, or that like no one's gonna understand. No one's gonna get me. Might as well murder my wife. Nobody gets me, dude. I'm just a pervert who fell in love with my literal employee because I've been a piece of shit my entire marriage, so I decided that like I can't even do this. I can't even like continue this. This is so gross. It's gross. Like, how gross is this? This is so gross. Ah, yes. I think the best way for me to get out of my marriage is to have sex with the person we're employing to watch our kids. And then kill my wife so it looks accidental. And everyone will feel so bad for me I can keep fucking my employee and nobody will care, even though everyone will care. But because I'm a widow, nobody will say anything, and that means it's okay. Anyway,
His job gave him a certain degree of understanding as to how to think like a criminal.
clearly
He'd
fucking
watched
not.
multiple dumber murderers kill their spouses, girlfriends, and boyfriends, then try
Saying-
and stage the scene as a suicide. He'd witnessed failed poisonings, carjackings, and more, and felt that if he were to get away with murder, he would need to think outside of the box.
Oh, really?
It wasn't enough to just kill Christine. He needed to make a plan that
Bro didn't
embarrassed
realize the
her,
box
and
was
that
bigger than he
ensured that
thought.
He would not be considered a suspect by police. And so he decided that with Julianne,
What? Hold on.
ensured that he would not be
Embarrassed? Wait.
to just kill Christine. He needed to make a plan that embarrassed her, and that ensured that he would not be considered a suspect by police.
Okay, first of all, I don't know if this is just them weaving a story or what this guy actually thought. Not going to happen. Number one suspect when a spouse dies is their partner. Period. Until there is any way to clear them, they are the suspect. What a fucking idiot.
And so he decided that with Juliana's help, he would set up an account on a fetish website under his wife's name. The plan itself was simple. He was to make a fake account for his wife on the website, talk to some men about how it was her ultimate fantasy to be raped at knife point, then convince someone to come to their home when he was out of the house and sexually assault Christine. He'd purposely leave the door unlocked, hide Christine's phone, and make sure that she had no ability to protect herself. Juliana and his daughter would serve as lookouts, watching the house and calling Brandon when the stooge they convinced to assault Christine eventually showed up. She would tell Brandon that they saw a weird guy in the neighborhood and that they were scared. Then Brandon would come back home, see
What the
Christine being
fuck?
assaulted, kill the attacker, and then kill her if the guy hadn't already hurt her. He would look like a tragic hero who was unable to save his wife. She would look like a cheater and a pervert, and in his mind, no one would care about the man he had killed because he was a rapist. They would go through extra precautions to make the account look legitimate, making sure to only access it when Christine was home, and use the same make and model of phone that she had. With his plan laid out, Brandon populated the account with images of the woman he vowed to honor, protect, and cherish, then wrote about how she was particularly interested in non-consensual sexual scenarios. Brandon and Juliana would talk to multiple different men on the website, attempting to get one of them to come over to the home and fulfill Christine's fantasy. But they ran into a few snags. The first being that the majority of the people they spoke to had engaged in roleplay scenarios before, and they felt that the entire account was strange. These individuals
Oh,
each asked
really?
Christine if she'd be willing to meet up beforehand in public so they could discuss the encounter safely. They wanted to verify that they were talking to the right person and that she was really consenting to the risky roleplay. But each time someone asked to meet up, Christine's account would stop responding. There was only one person who agreed to the strange scenario that Brandon
How
had
odd.
cooked up, and that was Joseph Ryan. At time of recording, not a lot is known about Joseph. Obviously, his involvement in this case and the fetish website has left people with a sour taste in their mouths, but some friends and family have spoken out about who he was outside of this scenario.
Oh, so
According to his mother, Deidre Fisher,
this actually
he was a very
happened.
gentle person who was deeply concerned for those around him. He loved animals, particularly dogs, and would foster difficult and aggressive dogs in his free time. But Brandon didn't care about who Joseph was. To him, Joseph was the ultimate fall guy. He spent a month
Obviously, the best way to get away with murder is to involve more people, guys. It's obvious. I mean, this guy's a genius. What a genius. Let's involve the woman I'm sleeping with, which is definitely not weird because I'm definitely not 2 decades older and I'm not her employer. Let's both plot her murder together, and then let's get another dude involved. And then let's kill that guy too. Let's just make some random guy die because I feel like I can't like grow with the woman I married because I am apparently a 40-year-old pervert.
talking to Joseph, who used the account Taco Supreme 7000. Of course. And in their conversations, Joseph was extremely kind and considerate to Christine, as he believed that she was new to kink and didn't know how to engage with the scene. And in their conversations, Brandon used the growing friendship that Joseph believed that he was building with Christine to manipulate him into slotting into his plan. He gave Joseph the address to the house, gave him a time and date to come to the home, and said that Christine would leave the front door unlocked for him, at which point he was to go upstairs, cut off all of her clothes with the knife that he brought, tie her down and rape her. And in a move that was supposed to elicit tremendous pity from his friends and family, Brandon told Joseph to move forward with the plan on February 24th, 2023, his birthday. This lone detail stands out
Bro.
as being particularly insidious, because he was both giving himself a gift as well as making sure the event would be viewed as a
Ew.
deeply traumatic event to the outside world. Brandon and Juliana spent months setting up the account, talking to various men, and attempting to make Christine's online double life look legitimate. But there was something obvious that they hadn't considered, and that was the fact that Christine had never been interested in any fetish or even porn in her entire life. Her electronic behavior was incredibly straightforward, and she never engaged in anything even slightly similar to the material that her husband was trying to frame her for. While the pair were trying to set Christine up, they would both go on a small vacation out of the area, leaving the wife and mother alone in the house. For the first time since the account was made, Christine was by herself. And if the account was real, one would assume that she would use her free time to engage with her sexual fantasies.
Right.
But she didn't, because the account didn't belong to her.
Genius.
Brandon, who believed that he was some kind of criminal
Oh,
mastermind,
Brandon, you
hadn't considered who
fucking
his wife was before attempting to
mastermind,
frame
bro.
her. He hadn't thought of how her behavior and personality would negate the story
Nobody's
he
gonna
was
look into
trying to get
that.
police to believe. On the morning of February 24th, 2023, Brandon went about his relatively new normal morning routine. In the months preceding the planned attack, Brandon had begun waking up earlier in the day and starting his mornings with a trip to McDonald's. He knew that any new change in his daily routine would stand out to investigators, especially if he just changed it the morning of. He made sure that his new routine was something that could be seen via security camera as well.
What a
So there would
breakfast.
always be a record of his innocence. Prior to him leaving the home, though, Brandon messaged Joe, confirming the attack for 7 a.m. He then located Christine's phone, turned it off, and hid it in the kitchen drawer downstairs, far away enough that even if Christine was able to fight off the attacker and then attempt to get help, she wouldn't be able to find it. Juliana was supposed to be taking Valerie to the zoo that morning, or at least that's what they told Christine that their plan was. In reality, they were going to be waiting in the car down the block for Joseph to arrive at the house. Brandon, Juliana, and Valerie all got ready for their days, and when Brandon left the home, he disabled the door's lock, leaving Christine defenseless in bed. Juliana and Valerie sat in the car, watching the home, until Joe eventually parked in the driveway. She then called Christine's phone in order to showcase her innocence in the investigation. The obvious inference being, how could she be involved in the murder plot if she tried to warn the victim? She then called Brandon, who had already eaten his McDonald's breakfast and was waiting in the parking lot. He then told Juliana,
genius, bro.
faking concern, to wait there, and then rushed home. Once together, Juliana anxiously called the police, before abruptly hanging up when Brandon
Why is the
told her
kid
that it was
involved?
too
Because the
early.
kid's probably
Both
like
Joe and Christine
fucking
were still
2.
alive in the house, and if police were to arrive too early, their whole plan could be ruined. The group, including Brandon and Christine's 4-year-old daughter, then ventured into the home. The couple then instructed Valerie to go wait in the basement, realizing a bit too late that bringing their child to their mother's sexual assault and murder might be a bad idea. Who knows? They then went upstairs to the bedroom, where they ultimately found Joseph Ryan doing exactly what he'd been instructed to do. According to Brandon and Juliana's story, when they entered the room, Ryan was holding the knife over Christine, and the husband pleaded for him to drop the blade. Instead of stopping or acting in his own best interest, the man started stabbing her, and Brandon was forced to shoot the intruder. But that was not what occurred according to
So
the blood
true.
evidence at the scene. According to that evidence specifically, the moment that Brandon entered the room, he shot Ryan in the head, then took the knife out of his hand and stabbed Christine repeatedly in the neck. He then instructed Juliana to shoot Joseph as well. As Christine lay dying and gasping her last breaths, her husband would manipulate Ryan's body, leaving her blood on his hands and pants. Juliana would once again call 911 to report what had happened, so that by the time the emergency services arrived, Christine and Joe would be dead, and they would look like heroes who hadn't acted fast enough.
Bruh.
The following is the body cam footage of the immediate aftermath of the intruders, as made public by Court TV here on YouTube. Court TV is probably our most used source for body cam and trial footage, as they are consistently uploading relevant information. And because of this, I cannot recommend their channel enough. But if you're watching this, you are probably already following them, so never mind. Brandon and Juliana believed that they had executed their plan nearly flawlessly. Juliana had called 911 a bit
I'm
too
sure.
early.
So
but
did
the
Chris
pair believed
Watts.
that was a small discrepancy that could easily be overlooked by the criminal investigation. The police would enter the home, look over the details, and come to the exact conclusion the couple had been hoping for. Christine had seemingly been assaulted and killed by a stranger. Brandon and Juliana had tried to save her, and the only shocking twist would come when the messages on FetLife were eventually found. Brandon would look like the wounded husband who was betrayed by his depraved wife, and he would be free to be with the au pair, which is what makes this body cam footage so interesting. Like in the case of Shanann, Bella, Cece, and Nico Watts, we're getting to see the murderer deal with the crime scene in the direct aftermath. These are individuals who erroneously believed that they had concocted the perfect crime and were fooling the police.
Like I said, Chris
Lying
Watts
in
thought he
general
was
is
smart
very
too.
difficult to do. Almost always, your body will give you away, and is exceptionally difficult to do when you believe that your life is at stake. That said, most criminals and narcissists tend to believe that they're better at lying than they actually are. They have an unearned confidence and belief in themselves that they can convince anyone of anything. So let's see how Brandon and Juliana, the criminal masterminds, fare.
Who is Chris Watts? He's a famous case from like 2 decades ago. He killed his wife and daughters. For reasons I can't tell you, because like who the fuck knows why anyone does that? But he basically she disappeared, and they were like, "Whoa, what the heck happened?" And then his neighbor, the second the police showed up, was like, okay, a decade ago, sorry. His neighbor instantly was like, "He's acting weird as hell. This dude's acting weird. He doesn't act like this. He's acting weird." Because he was acting weird, because he had literally killed his wife, rolled up her body into a rug, if I remember right, and put her somewhere. I can't remember. And then, my God, yeah, his pregnant wife, by the way. I didn't even mention that. That's a great point. So, and then killed his 2 daughters by putting them in a water container or something. And was it oil? He put them in a literally the most sick shit you could ever imagine somebody doing to their own kids and wife. And when the police were talking to him, he was acting all innocent and shocked and shit. And the whole time the police were talking to him, they already have his phone and see all of the text messages he had with his mistress at the time, talking about how much he hates his wife and how much they're cheating on her and shit. So, he did same shit, basically. I mean, he was cheating on his wife and wanted to be with the person he was cheating with. And so he was like, you know what? Let's just kill my entire family so I can. Makes total sense. It doesn't. Just an idiot beyond idiots. There's plenty of... we watched the JCS did a video on it. There's a really old VOD of me watching that. There's a documentary on Netflix or something about it. It's a really good case because it exemplifies this type of person perfectly. This type of narcissist that is so cocky. They're like, I could kill somebody and get away with it. And the fact of the matter is it's no, most people do not. No, the problem is that literally for as many factors as you can think of in terms of getting away with murder, there's probably 50 more that you're never going to even expect, and they're going to happen anyway. It's just not happening, bruh.
So she's going to go up to obviously that's going to be the closest one to that. He's obviously going to be away. Hey, can you check him out? Yeah, I got more units here. We'll check him out. He's starting to break out a little bit. Stay sorry. I'll just do walk through, okay? What did you say the other say?
So Brandon has opted to take an overwhelmed, ill approach when dealing with the police. He has quite dramatically placed himself on the floor of his bathroom to pretend to retch, feigning sickness in the aftermath of the murder that he himself committed. And to be fair, this is actually a
Double
decent
murder.
manipulation tactic,
Double
especially
murder.
for men. Men generally are socialized not to show certain extreme emotions. Displays of sadness, fear, and general anxiety by men are often viewed as weakness and something to be deeply ashamed of. meaning that this sort of display would be consciously viewed as being more truthful, as his shame was outweighed by his emotions. It also provides him an escape from speaking to the police immediately, which he understands is a terrible idea. How can he give an account of his story if he's too busy throwing up? Brandon was a criminal investigator. He is more knowledgeable than most when it comes to how these cases are solved, and he no doubt knows that talking to the police is one of the most critical errors any suspect can make. But saying as much in the direct aftermath of his wife's brutal assault and murder would look suspicious, so he does this instead.
Okay. The driver there? We're gonna have to get him out of here. Yeah, I know. Can you give him a second? Don't touch anything else.
I'm not. Let me change my gloves out. We can get him out of here. A knife's there. Guns are on the bed.
Guns plural?
I got you.
We're gonna take him and stick him in a freezer. Yeah, I gotta hook him up, guys. Having a breakdown?
Yeah. Just give him a second.
I gotta put him on the monitor. Yeah. Is she okay? So the fire department, they take over at this point? We're kind of just here.
The first thing that Brandon asks is, again, in line with an overwhelmed, grieving spouse.
Oh, right, the
He
girl
asks
shot him too, true.
desperately if his wife has a pulse, already knowing that she doesn't, because he ensured that that would not be the case. Though we can't see him, there is something that we can note about his tone, and that is how smooth it is. He has been attempting to throw up for over a minute now, pretending to be deeply overwhelmed and traumatized from all that has happened. The bile in the throat would cause some rasp to his voice. Obviously, that is a lot more difficult to fake, and his tone is relatively even. This isn't something that the officers would probably notice, or would really stand out to anyone if they weren't aware of Brandon's actions in this
Yeah, I was
case.
gonna say.
It's truly only
Which is a great way to put it, because it's like, yeah, you could talk. Then this is the shit. This is the shit that I talk about that had an entire channel not harass me because I didn't fucking care. Tweet about me for like a whole week because I was like, you don't actually know this was a real thing. You just know because we know already what happens, right? Like the police in this moment would not be like, he sounds so smooth and not raspy. He should have been throwing up and raspy. They're not going to be doing that shit. The reason we can infer that is because we know the results of this case. That's what the literal definition of hindsight bias is. But that's also the beauty of being able to watch these things and go backwards and review these cases, because we can be like, whoa, look how evenly he was. Look how even his tone was when asking this, even though he was distraught and trying to barf for minutes on end. You know what I mean? Like, it's useful information. It can be interesting information and used, but to try to use it as a way to sound smart or like you know what the police operate as or do is just asinine. So I love the way that he's putting this. And I mean, once again, this is just another reason that I like this channel so much, because this dude actually like knows his shit and says it properly, clearly. Like, he says exactly what I've said for years. Like, this is an interesting point to make, but if we weren't aware of what happened here, this would have been a very nothing moment. Like, nobody would have considered anything. But because we know what already happened, this is a very big red flag that we can point out. But the 4 officers and 2 EMTs in here aren't going to think shit about that, because like there's a fucking double homicide on their case right now. Why are they thinking about the guy's tone of voice when he's asking about his wife being dead? They don't fucking care right now. But that's also what's so important to have. That's why it's important to have this footage, because that it can be used. They could have used this during the court. We don't actually know. They could have pointed out how weird he sounded during this moment.
in hindsight that we can point out these discrepancies.
Is she breathing? So again, they're down there. What I want to do is get
Just
you
watch what you're kicking, please.
That sounded like a cop.
All right. Does that work?
I know what you got to do. I'm just.
If you can't walk, we can wait a minute. You need a minute?
I think, just getting you some fresh air right now, I think will help, okay? So if we can get you outside.
You got gloves on? Can you help him? Just be with him.
Yep.
This is the first time we can actually see Brandon, and immediately we can note his face is dry and lacking any real signs of emotional distress, which would stand out as odd to the officers, given his earlier display. Most people get teary-eyed when they feel as if they're going to throw up, whether they do or not. But the only potential sign of his fraught emotions is
Bro, I
his
get
labored
teary-eyed at the
breathing,
thought of
which
how
is
much I love my
frankly
family,
incongruent
bro.
with the rest of his actions.
You can't fake that shit. People can fake as much as they want, but you can't, like, there is a level of crying that is extremely hard to emulate. And you know what I'm talking about. Like, there's not a good way to quantify or qualify like what I'm meaning, but like it's the, I don't know. You just know. Like, it's one of those human things. There's just a very like organic feeling about it. There's just a way that people feel or people act when they're genuinely distraught. And I understand people are all different, but there's a rawness to an emotion, no matter what way it's expressed, that people can recognize. And there's a lot of ways to notice somebody trying to emulate it. So I don't know.
They called us whenever Brendan Banfields.
Yeah, like what you're saying, like you have a hard time crying what you're saying in chat right now, but like that doesn't mean what you express in a moment like this wouldn't be raw and emotional on its own level. You know what I mean? Like there isn't like a perfect way to grieve, but the ways that we grieve are so unique to the scenarios that it's like if you've seen somebody act like that, you understand what that is. Like somebody can't fake that no matter how hard they try. We can still recognize like the raw emotion of people in those moments, no matter how it's portrayed. You know what I mean?
This is Vienna.
Easy.
I'm sorry, say it again. So you with Vienna? My office is in Vienna, correct. Did you call my office? No. I need to call my manager at some point.
Why do we give a shit about his office right
Least of
now?
our worries right now, man.
Right.
We're just going to get you in a cruiser outside in the air where you can breathe. You're okay, okay? You're not hurt? I don't think so.
We'll check him out when we get him over to the car.
You have an oxygen with you all day?
Watch out, watch out.
Step off into the grass?
Yep.
What's wrong with your right leg, sir?
I don't know, maybe just nervous.
Okay.
Since he got up from the bathroom, Brandon has been limping. There was no physical reason for the limp. He wasn't injured in the attack, and when asked, he says that he's just nervous. But Brandon, like Nicholas Aliverdian, is purposely feigning a physical injury or disability in order to make himself look incapable of causing physical harm, otherwise known as he's being a little sneaky guy. Brandon's goal is to come across as innocent as possible, and of course to embarrass his wife in death and destroy any positive reputation that she once had, making him look like the ultimate victim. And in his mind, his lies are easier to sell
scientific term.
if he is slightly disabled.
I'm going to be calling medic 436 to Reston Hospital.
Yeah, he's trying to shrink himself so they seem less suspicious.
Just take some deep breaths, all right?
Do you need to sit down somewhere? Is there a way to get an update? Right now.
They're handling everything from here.
I gotta be honest, the way that when this video started and they were just walking him out and there was no dialogue or anything, I thought they were booking him. Just the way he's walking and the way it looks so weird. The fact that it's as silent as it is as well, like it looks like they're booking him. Like they're putting him in a cruiser for his like safety and health or whatever in this moment, but it literally looked to me like his arrest footage.
He doesn't think so. We haven't had a chance to really do a full inspection.
Just
quite
look
yet.
at it.
If you guys want to check him out. Yeah, we can do that. He's just a little unsteady on his feet, though.
Go put him in the ambulance.
All right, let's do that then.
We're gonna go ahead and check this gentleman out in the back of the ambulance, okay?
Personally, guys, I don't think if like, and God forbid the scenario never happens, obviously, but like if I killed somebody and like they had just killed my wife, I don't think I'd be very quiet. I don't think I'd be extremely quiet in this moment. I mean, everyone's different, but I think it would be really hard for me to not be minimum upset and like vocally screaming about it. I don't know. Super genius Brandon over here.
Where's my daughter?
Pausing to note two things. First is that despite his sniffling, he has still not produced any tears. It's really important to him to sound like he is. However,
Genius.
continuing to sound like he's crying while actively not doing so would clearly draw suspicion towards him. Moreover, he has just now asked about his daughter, who he purposely brought to his wife's rape and murder. I cannot emphasize that fact enough. Him attempting to feign actual care for the child he endangered is truly disgusting.
I think she's out there with them, so.
For real, like if the plan or what they told her was they were going to go to the zoo, why wouldn't they have just gone to the zoo? I guess because she was supposed to be the one to tell him somebody went in the home. I feel like they could have just been like, he was on the way home and walked in, right? I don't really understand the whole point of why she had to be lookout in this scenario. It just feels really dumb and sick to even involve this 4-year-old.
Is there anybody else in the house other than your daughter and the other female?
So she's an au pair, Manny.
Okay.
He lives with us.
But it's just the two of them, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
My daughter.
Just one sec, we're gonna head around to this other door here, alright?
This way.
Have to sit here, okay? Right here. As high up as crease as you can.
Yeah.
Is anything bothering you right now?
I feel unsteady.
Okay. Were you
Oh,
hit with
unsteady,
anything?
why?
Anything?
No, I took the knife. I took the knife from him.
Okay. Alright. So you're not hurt anywhere. Is that not your blood, correct?
I think it's.
Alright. You want to slip this jacket off for me so we can evaluate you real quick? I'm going to have you kick your other foot up for me.
Yeah,
So you
I
can
think
get
it's
it off.
fine. Yeah.
Hey, Hunter Bravo.
Yeah, Hunter Bravo.
That might be a bag in
Okay.
my car. Taking pressure, all right?
Info is going to be set up at Stablebrook Way and Silver Court.
I'm just going to take your watch off for now, alright?
That's fine.
So I can see. I give it to the officer standing behind you.
This is so silent, bro. This is so weird.
Where all this blood come from, you know?
I was holding her neck.
Okay.
Do we have any crossings that need to be covered?
511
Is there a way to
Bravo.
get
I've
an
got
update
one
on
up at Powell's
Taking
Tavern
her
in
to the
front of
hospital right now.
Rainsville.
They're not going to have much of an update. They're going to take her to rest in the hospital, okay?
Yeah.
I don't see any wounds on you. I'm just going to check you out. Would you like to run up to the hospital?
Can I be with her?
They're gonna work on her when they get there. You wouldn't be able to see her immediately anyway. If you do choose to go.
Yes, I want to be with her.
Okay, then we'll take you up there for evaluation then, okay?
Sure.
Is he the aggressor? Yeah.
What's going to happen to my daughter?
That I'm not sure. That's a
As
question
of
for the
right now, I
officers.
believe she's sitting with one of our officers until we figure out what all is going on.
Take it back.
How did you get that last crossing?
Hey, Doherty, it's gonna be.
He was a cop
Drainsville,
before. He
8:50
was
to 9:20,
he was
right
a
there in front of
fed
Kiss and Ride.
for the IRS. Like investigated financial crimes. So like
Guys, get squeezed real tight.
tough to say without knowing more.
All right, perfect. We'll take all that off then. Take it off there. Okay. Take this off from you, man. So just to confirm, nothing's bothering you right now, right? Physically, you weren't injured at all.
1 second, I get a phone
Anything
call.
hurting you at all, man? They're trying to find out so we can make sure we get you help too.
Doors pulling out of here. You guys.
We're gonna need his
What? Snow rain.
No, you're good. You're good.
Take
Put
the
your hands
we
down.
need that.
That's fine.
If not,
You're not gonna be able to have him in the hospital
It's
anyway.
fine.
yeah, let me have the wiper.
I have cuffs.
Okay. What department are you with?
Department of Treasury, Internal Revenue Services.
Okay.
And I got
It's okay. Those can stay for right now. That's fine.
Zach,
Yeah.
so before you roll, let me make sure they decontaminate what you have on you, okay?
Okay. I don't think I've got anything directly on me, but hey, Tarek.
Yeah.
I've got Mags and his watch. If you want to hold on to this,
What was that?
I've got Mags and his watch. I'm gonna go with them to the hospital. East Department,
a bag.
I don't have an answer to that right now. I wish I did, but I don't. I'm sure they'll give you an update as soon as they can. The question is, would you like to go with us or would you like to go with the police?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
If I can be with her,
Hey,
that's what
this is what one of the medics have, one of the bags the medics have.
What is he looking for?
Just a
I'm
plastic
assuming so,
bag.
Zach. Did we?
A what? Plastic bag.
Just right now, did we search them?
No, I haven't searched them yet.
Can we stand up?
Sorry, man, it was just, it's fine.
I have.
You're good.
Sorry.
I know.
That's fine. Yep.
I'll leave his badge on him.
Brother, you know the procedure, we apologize.
It's fine.
Knives or anything on you?
No, that's my cell phone. Work cell phone. And personal cell
And you're with the
Treasury.
Okay. Did you get him a bag? A bio bag? Do you have a bio bag?
Yes.
Anything on that side?
This is the first time we can actually catch a glimpse of Brandon's face after he has had yet another breakdown. And once again, there's no evidence of tears. He was able to mimic the sounds of emotional distress, but his face is unmarred by tears, and there's no redness in his cheeks or eyes, and his nose shows no signs of running. But of note is the fact that during his fictional breakdown, each individual who is examining him does their best to not look directly at him. Emotional breakdowns are deeply hard to watch, especially if the person having them is a stranger. It's an uncomfortably intimate moment, where a person sheds all feelings of shame and embarrassment and collapses in on themselves. So when Brandon feigns his own emotional collapse, the officers seem to all look away and distract themselves until he's able to collect himself a bit better. We're going to skip a significant portion of the footage, as we have no relevant commentary. As always, a link to the original upload will be left in the description box down below, should you want to view it in full.
We're here, okay?
Yeah.
I'll have you step back out this side door that we came in.
Yes.
Go, sir.
Another excellent point made by Dreading. Because once again, it is very interesting, his behavior and his lack of tears and his very even, unwavering voice in this moment of what should be a tragedy. But it's a great point. When somebody is dealing with something like this and is really dealing with this, it is really hard for somebody who isn't like personal to them to be in that room. In the like how they're saying that all of them are being distracted, like they're distracting themselves in order to stop themselves from having to like watch, because it's awkward, it's weird, especially something that should be an awful thing, right? It's very interesting. It's a great, I mean, it's another great point, because once again, like if somebody's breaking down this hard, or should be, regardless, they're not going to be paying much attention to it, because they're not going to want to, because they don't know this man. They just know that he's having a bad day. They don't know the context or anything. They're just trying to see if he's okay. That's their job. They don't want to sit here and stare at this guy. And they're not gonna sit here and study this guy's face in the moment. They're not gonna sit here and look back and, so your wife died, huh? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Nobody does that. People don't do that shit. Nobody's out here being the fucking mentalist, dude. And anybody who thinks the police are doing that is delusional. That is just not what happens. Doesn't happen. Nobody's over here studying faces while having a regular interaction with somebody. Especially something not regular, like a guy who just apparently witnessed his wife die, according to him. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just more like logic behind this, like, nobody's paying attention to bodily expressions and actions in the moment. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Nobody does that shit. Nobody's going to be doing that shit. Look at this dude. He's looking out the fucking window right now. EMT Andy's over here looking out the window, trying to find anything else to look at besides this dude faking it. Because even though he's faking it, he's clearly worked enough to know that people will be having a moment here. And he's like, I can't look at this. I shouldn't be looking at this. Because these are moments that are meant to have people you care about around to help you. You know what I mean? But like, you know, they're not going to be, the first responders aren't going to be sitting here looking at like facial expressions. The police aren't going to be looking at facial expressions. It just doesn't happen. People don't do that shit. It's ridiculous. We can have a great time inferring it from footage after knowing how everything happened. But
we cut out about 15 minutes of footage, which included Brandon pretending to cry and break down while they drive to the hospital. However, when he passes by the camera and his face is in frame, there's still zero evidence of tears. Crying causes increased blood flow to the face, which results in a red and agitated appearance. It also causes your nose to run and your entire face to become puffy. And yet, Brandon's face looks exactly the same as it did in court in 2026. More importantly, once out of the ambulance, he has begun limping again, although for seemingly no reason, his limp is more pronounced and has seemingly switched sides.
oh, genius. The good old ambidextrous limp. Yeah, I got a pain in my ass that flip-flops between cheeks too, dude. Evil motherfucker, let me tell you.
Right here for us. We're trying to find out what room to put you in. Can I see her? No, not yet.
Any voters on channel 3 or 5?
Me when I'm nervous about the double homicide I just committed, so my legs keep limping, but I can't remember which one I chose originally.
You just said that she didn't make it.
I didn't hear what he said, so.
The cut and stuff probably needs to be
Oh my goodness.
Can you have someone check with him here?
Okay. What is the nature of the incident?
He is a vision.
Check what?
The status of his wife, ma'am.
Hi, sir. My name is Dina. I'm one of the doctors here. Your wife.
What is going on here? There's like a distinct line behind his hair on his head. And also, why is it at a 45-degree angle? Why is it perfectly angled?
Has died. So sorry.
MX plus BS haircut.
Where's the gutter?
Where's that?
She's still at the scene, sir. She's with the other officers.
Would you guys be able to ask someone else to bring some tissues? That's the nurse outside.
I mean, it's just funny to me, man, because it's like, you know, like so many channels want to sit here and talk about body language and shit about being like truth telling. You think if that's the case, the police would be pointing their fucking cameras at dudes like, I'm sorry, can you react again really quick? Like, this guy is not even focused on this dude because once again, in theory here, the situation here from this cop's perspective is that this guy just got told his wife died. He has no idea he killed her yet, right? Right? Oh, dude. Oh, dude. Permaban from Joe Bart by Ahmad jokingly said, right, okay, hold on. Give me a second. Don't worry, man. I got you. What the Okay, so I paused Joe's stream just so I don't... Guys, what is Joe playing? What is that? Terrible, terrible pause. That's a terrible pause. Don't worry, man. As a mod on his stream, I will do you justice. Don't worry. I mean, what did you want, man? Did you get upset that you got the attention you wanted or what? This is awesome. He's a grade A genius, chat. Don't worry. Don't worry, man. You said it. Oh, I can't even show it. It doesn't work. Nice, bro. Yeah, multiple times. Great. Good job. Genius work. Very, very smart stuff, man. Very smart stuff. Multiple times. Timed out multiple times. I know. It's just a joke, guys. It's timed out for saying a joke? No. Oh, got banned on 2 channels now. I'm just shocked that that's actually what you said. because usually people downplay it. The funny part to me is the fact that you thought that was funny when it's just like not. Usually they're lying about it. Yeah, like at least there was some honesty in his message, but at the same time, like, what did you think was going to happen, bro? And you're like, wait, I got to type it a few more times. I don't think he saw it. He didn't think he saw my genius. Anyway.
Okay. We're still burning. Just a heads up. Body cams are still on.
Okay.
It's okay.
Just yell at me. I'll get out of your way.
What's up, on?
They said he wants to be evaluated, so
Okay, no problem.
Me when I don't realize my streamer's really good friend is a mod in his stream and can check.
Despite seemingly crying since being told his wife is dead, there's very little moisture on those paper towels. It's easy to see that there are virtually no tears because those particular towels have the general texture and feel of paper. They also tend to change color when moisture is added to them, going from a beige off-white color to a brown.
Oh,
But
yeah,
there's
after
no
the
change when he
hospital
wipes
ones,
his
yeah.
face. He also fails to blow his nose into them, again attempting to sell an intense emotional response without actually having one.
Were you there at the time?
Yes.
My God, bro.
You were there at the time. So is there any part
Don't
that
hurt
I can
yourself.
help? I can explain what happened when she arrived here, but you were there and it sounds like there was a lot of blood loss.
Yes.
So I think that she died of blood loss. Her airway was actually okay. I'll call the medical examiner, of course, and we'll do an autopsy and make sure we know for certain.
Me when it's
But,
my first day blowing my nose.
Yeah. I mean, those were enormous wounds, and
I just want to point out that I did that bit and even I got moisture out of my nose just now.
it's not the neck.
Crazy.
Yes, and the neck is not compressible, so it's not possible really to stop all the blood loss. And her airway, it seems like, was in the midline okay. She was able to be intubated. Everything that was possible to be done was done for her right away. You did a wonderful, you did everything that was possible. It's not a survivable injury.
Uh-oh, here come the dry works. Here come the waterworks during winter. Did you get that? Because it's like the water parks are closed on winters because there's just no water because it's like closed. All right, cool.
Is someone with her daughter? Is her daughter?
Yeah. We still have officers at the scene with her.
Okay. Just want to make sure that she's safe.
Yeah, she's safe. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we get it, dork.
Yes, sir.
It's for him. And did you get hurt, sir?
Fixed up.
Are you certain? Did the person come after you at all? Did they hit you or?
I think he put his arm on me at one point, but.
Oh no. Get him a Band-Aid. You would think that like people who try to fake cry would try beforehand or like learn about like the ways that actors simulate crying and shit. Like they didn't think to buy like the teardrops that make your eyes water or anything like that. They were like, what if I just I could lock in. I think I got it.
At this point, Brandon, despite having blood evidence on his hands, is allowed to wash them. Prosecution would admit
That's
that
fucking
this was a
stupid.
mistake on the officer's part, as they should
Yeah,
have
the
collected
officer should have
DNA
immediately
evidence
stopped
off of
that.
them. But this is one of the most brutal crimes this department has ever seen, so it happens. And while they would later uncover a bevy of evidence against Brandon
Bevy?
and Juliana proving their guilt, they believed that he was a victim at this time and saw nothing wrong with him washing blood off of his hands. The rest of the footage is uneventful. Brandon had, by his own estimation, sold his lie perfectly. Sure,
Oh,
he
yeah.
hadn't been able to produce some tears, but he mimicked sorrow very, very well.
Bevy
Well enough that
Brandon
the
over
police
here.
could easily write that fact off. He had just gone through a traumatic event, on his birthday no less. So who cares if he cried or not? But Brandon was not the only person involved
Well, he
in the
didn't.
murder. He had carefully created a plot and believed he sold his portion of the lie well. Now it was up to Juliana to sell hers. The following is the body cam footage of Juliana's interview, taken at the scene.
Oh. He killed two people. Him and his au pair faked a fetish account for his wife to try to convince a man to do a rape fetish by breaking into her home and doing that. Because there's like, you know, kink websites and stuff out there. So, yeah. So he and his au pair we're about to see convince this guy to do that. And he could come in and save his wife, except what he did was walk up, shoot him in the head immediately, and stab his wife multiple times. Yeah, I mean, genius level thinking, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, not only did he kill his wife, he killed some random guy. Because he hates his wife, obviously. So you got to kill another dude too, just to get your wife out of the picture, for sure. That makes sense. That's just logic. Anyway.
There's a dog back there.
So somebody's outside.
Someone's outside in the back?
In the back?
There's a dog in the back there.
Anyone else outside? Who else is outside?
Oh, nobody's outside.
Anybody over here?
In my room. And here.
Here, man, stay here, man.
So there are a few obvious issues. First is that Juliana sounds and appears fairly relaxed, even though what she allegedly walked in on was a horror show. She watched one of her employers and friends be brutally assaulted and murdered right in front of her, and then was forced to shoot the perpetrator, killing him. So her subdued, almost calm reaction is strange.
Who is the shooter?
Who shot who?
The cop sounds more nervous.
I got a blowout kit if you need it.
Bring it up.
Is there anyone else in the house? Any kids in the house? Okay.
Yeah, if you want, I'll hold down here.
Okay.
Brandon's story was that he walked in, pointed the gun at the guy, told him to stop, and then the guy started stabbing his wife. Because, like, that's what somebody does when they're held up at gunpoint. They just do more than what they were already. They just like go further than what they were doing to begin with, obviously.
Bring her down here. We get.
Yeah, and there's no way physical evidence would disprove that story at all, by the way. Definitely not. Definitely not. There's definitely going to be no physical evidence proving otherwise. Definitely not.
Info directly from her.
Never.
Hey, help
Ma'am, can you come down with me?
Anybody say blow up? Okay, she's breathing. She's got one stab wound.
I think Zach's just saying that.
We're getting the ambulance here now.
My host kid is downstairs.
Okay.
I'm in here.
How old's your host kid?
She's 4.5.
Four and a half? Where is she?
I need to talk to her. She doesn't know anything. What's
Can we get her and we'll go outside?
Yeah, I'm gonna get her.
No, not the shooter. I think he's upstairs.
Where do we look?
She's grabbing their 4-year-old. We're gonna go outside.
Okay, perfect.
Just please.
It's okay. Yeah.
She's just
Juliana
That's
has
the
begun
au pair,
stuttering,
yes.
which is more congruent with the situation and the lie they are attempting to sell. She's overwhelmed, but not so much that she isn't being helpful.
I know this is hard. Let's get her outside, and then I need to get some information from you.
Hi, Val.
Hey.
Hi. How are you?
Hey, I'm Officer Bell. Nice to meet you. Do you want to go outside with us?
We need to go outside, okay?
Let's go.
Come here. Come here. Can I take this out? Oh.
Yeah, whatever you need to do. What's your name?
Juliana. Oh,
Here.
Okay, so you're with him. Okay.
Bring my daughter to my double homicide day. What the fuck? What the fuck,
Let's get
dude?
outside, okay?
What a piece of shit.
It's okay. Just breathe, okay? Okay, let's go out this way. So,
Just nasty.
do you want to hang out with that officer right there?
Fly back around front corner.
To take over? Good. Still breathing.
Sorry?
Still breathing.
Still breathing?
Hey,
Do you want me to put her to watch a show or something?
if you just want to tell me quickly what happened,
I don't really know what happened. Everything happened too fast. I was going to take her to the zoo this morning.
Can you go with Officer Batani really quick?
come with us?
Yeah.
He has some stickers for you.
I was going to take her to the zoo this morning. And then I forgot the line we were going to pay. I turned around and came back here. And then I saw this car. This is her car. Person, I guess.
You don't know who that? Do you know who the person is?
I have no idea. And then also his car called her to see what's going on because it's early in the morning, like the people was here. And then it was straight to voicemail. I called Brendan, it's her husband. He's up there. I called him. I see a strange car, but I don't know who is that. Can you please come here? I'm scared. I was just bothering the car. And then he came here, and then we went inside. The guy, I don't know who it is, he was spanking her. I was just here.
Were you here when it happened, or did you walk up in there and that's how they were?
Yeah, he went upstairs first, and then I went to see what is going on. I left Valerie in the basement, and then when I went upstairs, Brendan was saying, "Police, drop the knife."
So, Brendan's a police officer.
Yeah, he's an officer.
Is he with Fairfax?
No.
Where is he an officer?
I don't know. I think his office is in Vienna.
The details Juliana chooses to include in her story are important because this is exactly what she rehearsed with Brandon. Put yourself in her shoes. You work in a home with a family, and one morning when you arrive back at the house, you see a new car parked in the driveway. You know it's not a car belonging to anyone in the family, so you immediately feel weird about its appearance in front of the house. You feel weird, but probably not scared. The family does live in a nice area with very little crime. You'd have no reason to assume that the car belongs to a robber or a deviant, given the time of day, and would likely just assume that the driver is a friend of the family. But Juliana stresses the fact that this car has made her scared enough to call both Christine and Brandon, that she refused to enter the house with Valerie until Brandon arrived home, because she felt like something was probably wrong.
Vienna?
Yeah.
Okay. 1 second.
I'm gonna get.
Okay.
Do you need anything else right now?
Not right now. The guy who shot is they think a Vienna police officer. So we got to think about that. That car, we don't know who. That's the guy who came up here that started the issue. This car is the outside guy, the silver car. These two. So this is their car. That is the guy who came here.
Okay.
I just didn't understand any of that.
Yelling at
This
each
one
other.
car is
He
the
was saying,
guy's.
like,
Both cars?
Drop the.
No?
I'm sorry. My first language is not English.
No, you're doing really well.
He was saying drop the. Oh.
The knife or the gun?
The gun. And Brennan said, no, police, don't drop the knife. And he was saying, I'm gonna kill her, I'm gonna kill her. And I don't know, he started stabbing her. I think Brennan shot him, and he asked me help to shot him too because...
It's okay. You don't have to get it all out right now.
Which doesn't make sense to me, by the
You
way.
didn't see the girl before either? So the guy and the girl you don't know?
She's my boss.
Okay.
He's Valerie's mom. But I never seen it before, like, it's a lot of blood and...
Okay.
Like Brandon, Juliana wasn't able to produce any tears, but put on the performance of distress. She shook her hands.
I can only imagine the only reason he said that she also should shoot him was so she was like unable to turn on him. You know what I mean? Like get her as involved. So she's like, you know, I don't know.
Forced her voice to break a couple times and perfectly recited the story that they had spent months preparing. And for a while, the police believed them. They thought that this was just a tragic situation where a woman's fetish led to a miscommunication, which led to a double homicide. As far as Juliana and Brandon were concerned, Joseph Ryan and Christine's memory would be tarnished forever, and they were free to begin their romance in earnest. But a few things stuck out in the investigation. The first clue was Christine's online behavior. Though it seemed like she had an account on FetLife and had talked to multiple men about engaging in a rape fantasy, there was no direct evidence that she had ever used the website herself. Every time someone would ask to FaceTime with her or meet in person, she would make a flimsy excuse as to why it simply wasn't possible. Meanwhile, all the photos that were used on her account either had no face attached to them or were photos that Brandon had access to. Her online behavior was benign and fairly obvious, with her following a set routine. There was no evidence that Christine had a fetish, much less knew about fetish websites enough to seek them out, which made it become increasingly clear that someone else was behind the account. Upon realizing that someone close to Christine had set up the account for her, luring in Joseph to sexually assault the mother, the investigation began to ramp up. Police knew that there were only two people who could have possibly been responsible for the setup. Two people who Christine knew, lived with, and loved, who could plot the murder. But they lacked motive. That is, they did, until the investigators were made aware of the fact that Valerie, Christine's 4-year-old daughter, was heard asking Juliana shortly after the murders, quote, "Does this mean you're going to marry my dad and I can call you mommy now?" Unquote. To which Juliana replied, "I wish." According to the court records, the social worker who overheard this comment was so shocked that she immediately informed the police that she believed something was deeply wrong. In October of 2023, the police executed another search warrant on the home, where they found multiple photos of Juliana and Brandon in, quote, "loving poses," unquote, confirming the affair. But notably, the majority of the evidence that police were able to find pointed to Juliana and not Brandon. Brandon, who often had to travel for work, had Juliana message the men on FetLife while home with Valerie and Christine, and at that point in the investigation there was little evidence to support him being involved, just the way he had planned. Juliana Perez, I'm not going to try to pronounce that last name again, was arrested 8 months after the murders. She was charged with the second-degree murder of Joseph Ryan and was placed in the custody of Fairfax County. It would take a bit more than 18 months for the police to piece together what actually happened on Brandon's birthday, when the blood evidence would come back showing that Joseph Ryan hadn't killed Christine, and that the entire ordeal had been set up by the philandering husband. So, if you've made it to this portion in the video, thank you for watching. In our next video, we'll be going over the trial of Brandon Banfield, showing how his house of cards came crumbling down, and how the narcissist believed that he could convince a jury that his deceased wife had, in fact, orchestrated her own death, with little to no evidence. Have a great day, and remember, stay safe.
Very funny that this dude's a Fed and tried to plot a perfect murder, not knowing that, like, weirdly enough, if a dude, like, so let's say, for example, somebody gets stabbed to death. Weirdly enough, if I didn't do it, their blood's not going to be on my hands. Literally. So What exactly was his thought? I don't what did he think? I mean, it's just another like didn't he say he held her neck? The husband was saying that he was holding her neck to try to stop the bleeding. Brandon's story was that when he entered the room, he pointed a gun at the guy and said to stop. And then the guy proceeded to start stabbing her, which would mean her blood and wounds consistent would be from him, and there would be blood from her on him. Or even like certain markings from the knife from him, like, because weirdly enough, it takes force to stab, so you probably have to like press. So like weirdly enough, there would be evidence of like her blood on Joseph Ryan in this scenario. Weirdly enough, there wasn't. Jeez, man. What a moron. I mean, what a moron. I don't know. Two morons and a just a terrible outcome for a 4-year-old that doesn't deserve that. And for the wife, obviously, and the guy. But it's just stupid. I can assure you, as a person who has studied murder, you can imagine all sorts of scenarios of how to get away with it. You won't. You really probably won't. Because, like, once again, there's just probably not a whole lot of things that you thought of, because there's probably like 50 things you haven't. So anyway, I don't know. Fuck this guy. Fuck this guy. Fuck that lady. Stupid.